Welcome to TypeScript FM, the friendly podcast for TypeScript developers where we bring you news, updates, and interviews from the community with plenty of tomfoolery sprinkled in. I'm your host, Kamran Ayub, and I'm joined by my co-host and best bud, Eric Onerheim. Together, we're the two TypeScript fools. Welcome to the show. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good. I'm finally out of the busiest time of my life in the last 2 weeks. So
Yep, I
just spent the weekend relaxing with family and watching a lot of cartoons.
Yeah, that's exactly the same news update I was going to get, which is the busy week is over. And this last week, I have just been playing video games at night, just, until like midnight. So I'm trying to beat Avowed right now, and I'm getting close. I'm almost to the next area, the last section of the world. So getting close to finishing the main quest line. But otherwise, just being outdoors a bunch, because here in Minnesota, it's been pretty good weather lately. So it's been nice.
I'm going to try to get out there today and run, because I haven't run for 2 weeks. For reasons, mostly that I was busy, but also some health stuff. But it's all good now. So I'm going to try to get out there and put in some mileage. I think that would be nice.
Yeah, I'm excited because we like to go biking. And now all the kids have their own bikes. Even the littlest one, who has like a balanced Strider bike. And the fun thing is that we signed her up for a race. So she'll be racing with like other little kids on balanced bikes. So it'll be fun. It's coming up in like a week or two.
Mega cute. I think we probably could get Nave one of those.
Nice. Oh yeah. I mean, Talia is 3 now, and she can like balance on it just fine. She just goes quick. I got to run to catch up to her. Sweet.
Yeah.
TypeScript FM is sponsored by Excalibur.js, the friendly TypeScript game engine for the web. Like many of you, I got into computers because I loved video games and dreamed of making one, but game development always felt a bit intimidating. Instead, I built a career in web development, though that dream of making games never really went away. Then I met Eric, who showed me I could use my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript skills to create games with just a bit of game design knowledge and the right engine. Excalibur.js makes game development approachable, offering everything you need to build 2D web games. Arcade physics, sprites, animations, input support, and integrations with tools like Tiled and Sprite. It's beginner-friendly, yet flexible enough to grow with you. Our team has published 10 games using Excalibur, all written in TypeScript. If you're a web developer looking to dip your toes into game dev or sharpen your TypeScript skills, give Excalibur.js a try at excaliburjs.com. Click the big tutorial button to start building your first game, Excalibur, a Flappy Bird clone. After that, join our friendly Discord community of web developers who love to help each other and share game dev tips. We've got some news for the week of April 14th. We've mentioned it before several times now, but the CFP for SquiggleConf is still open, and you should go. And I think that it's early bird right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pick up your tickets. Check out SquiggleConf. Mm-hmm. It's their second year. It's a really good show. You should check it out.
For sure. We mentioned TC39 TypeScript Enums and JS proposal. It was at stage 0 when we last talked about it. This is the proposal by TypeScript team member Ron Buckton, and it has advanced to stage 1.
Yes, this is a good sign. This is, like we said before, we get our cake and to eat it too. Hopefully this becomes a thing in JavaScript. I think it's a thing that we've kind of hacked around for a while in JavaScript in particular. So I think there is definitely a need for an enumeration, and it would be nice so that we could use them in TypeScript as well without relying on the runtime emit goofiness.
Yes. What else we got?
All right, well, some minor updates from a couple runtimes. Deno 2.2.10 is out, and this adds a faster Deno install with NPM. There's some improvements to node test. There's a few fixes to stream and query string, and I think there's experimental support for Linux VSOC. I don't know what that means, but I imagine that's a good thing for virtual sockets. I'm assuming that's what VSOC stands for.
Cool. What about our friends over at Bun?
Yeah, Bun also had a release April 17th. This is mostly bug fixes. 33 bugs. They also added some performance improvements to set immediate and some reliability improvements for file system operations. So kind of a maintenance release, just improving things, improving reliability.
This is not a runtime, but the framework, Next.js 15.3, was actually released on April 9th, but we didn't cover it. But for TypeScript developers specifically, there is performance improvements and stability improvements for the TypeScript LSP plugin for Next.js. And so they say that we made significant performance improvements to resolve these issues because it used to sort of freeze and crash. In our internal testing, plugin response times have improved 60% with no freezing or crashes. So that's good. Sweet.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Now, if you also use Next.js in development mode, for a while now, you've been able to enable TurboPack, which is an experimental, very, very fast build system, but it's only been in dev mode. And I think the blog post says over 50% of builds are now, or 50% of dev runs are using TurboPack. And now they've just enabled it in experimental mode for next build. So this would be, if you're doing a production build, it will now use TurboPack. Well, you can enable it. And currently, the blog post says they have about 99.3% compatibility with their existing next build test suite. So that's cool. So it is a pretty significant performance improvement when you switch over to TurboPack. So that'll be nice to have it in build mode too. And then the other thing that they added community support for is RSPack, which we've covered a little bit. And that's that Webpack alternative. It's written in Rust, but it's supposed to be a drop-in replacement. And that's actually what I switched to in my own app. So I migrated from Webpack over to RSPack. So that's cool. So now in Next.js, you can have experimental support for an RSPack config rather than a Webpack config. So it'll go, I don't know, even a little bit more faster.
Yeah, I think we might take a look at RSPack very seriously for Excalibur builds, just because of that drop-in replacement. We have a, for better or for worse, complicated Webpack because we need to do some complicated things. So it's not like Webpack is introducing the complication we are.
Well, that's what it's good for. It's good for complex builds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over in the community, I feel like it's been pretty quiet on the Blue Sky feed. I mean, there have been some discussions, mostly with Zod 4 and stuff that we've kind of already covered. But I think what some people are talking about recently is this Enums proposal. And on Reddit, there is a pretty good discussion thread. It's titled, "What do you think about the TypeScript Enums and JS proposal?" And it's pretty, most people are pretty happy with it. Like they're excited about having official support in it. There were a few questions from folks in there that I think are good. Like why do we need it if we can transpile enums? And so just as a reminder, if you use enums, that requires special syntax and it's not compatible with type stripping tools. So like you can't just run a TypeScript file that has enums with Node.js 23, right? You would have to transpile it. So the benefit of using the type stripping is that you don't have to go through a build step or a transpile step. And these tools can just run the TypeScript just by stripping out the types, but they can't do it with enums because it's not in the spec. So I think a major benefit is that if we can get enums in the JavaScript spec, they don't need to be stripped. So then, yeah, that's what we're talking about when we say we get our cake and eat it too.
And if you have enums supported in JavaScript, there's a lot of constructs that become possible that weren't before.
Well, like what about flags? I don't know too much about flags, but usually you can do like bitmask type deals with enums if they're natively supported.
That's right. Yeah. So, for example, a lot of like native APIs will use enums, but they'll do powers of 2 so that in like a binary string, if there's a 1 in one of the strings, that means that flag is enabled. So you can have enums up to 32, 31, I think, in JavaScript before you switch to IEEE float. But that's super useful for a lot of reasons. One, you can pack a lot of flags into this, and maybe that's kind of opaque for people that are used to like option bag type stuff. In fact, I think I would use option bag stuff for most things, but for things that map directly to like in native APIs, it might make a lot of sense too, because then you can just pass the binary flags through. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is you get a lot of speed improvements when you're comparing against numbers versus like comparing against strings. Just in the CPU, the numbers are very fast to compare. So like if you're doing especially like like flag intensive things, like maybe you're building some sort of compiler or you're running through some data, enums suddenly become numeric enums suddenly become very attractive for performance.
Nice. And I think that would be especially helpful for game engines.
Yeah.
And doing game dev. I think we do a lot of bitmask type stuff.
We do some bitmasking.
All right. That is the end of the episode. And you might be wondering, well, that was pretty short. And we're going to release a bonus episode on Thursday, which is going to be our retrospective. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why this episode was so short and what we're going to be doing going forward. So please pardon our dust. We don't have a Secrets of the Handbook. We don't have any cool links at the end of this episode. That's it. That is all. So we'll see you again on Thursday for that discussion. All right. Have a good one. Nighty-night. Hi, everyone. This is Kamran. I just wanted to thank you for listening to the show, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to see the show notes, you can check your podcast player or go to typescript.fm, where you'll see a list of all the episodes. If you enjoyed the show, tell your friends, and please rate it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because that's how the show grows and gets discovered by more people. If you want to suggest news or a project that should be covered, or just want to say hi, email us at feedback@typescript.fm. If you want to follow us on social, we're both active on Blue Sky. I'm at Comronicus.com, and Eric is at EricOnerheim.com. You can also follow the show directly at typescript.fm.